Okay, good morning folks. Just a quick sound check. Make sure we're coming through. See me okay, hear me okay. Good morning, Technobyte. Morning all. Bank holiday here in the UK today, so everyone's taking the day off. Apart from my good self, of course. And of course, China's been off, and we've got a US holiday as well in, as you know, in the over the pond, which means trading today will be very, very quiet. My news services are all packing up today in a few hours' time as well, because of the US market is closed as well. So it's pretty thin trading going on at the moment, and I'm not expecting too much wild activity. So don't be there trying to force trades today. Hi Maxpo, hi Wagon Hill and Glenn and Ebus, doing quite well in the trade competition. I saw Ebus a couple of minutes ago, and Jenny. Just looking at the index, so dollar is trying to gain some composure back into our area of resistance that we've had penciled in now for a few days. Hasn't quite made the move up to the upper band of the resistance area. So we're basically looking at the range for the dollar. Certainly, I don't see any reason why this isn't going to hold today, of 97.30 up to 97.60. This is like the consolidation area here. It's where we stalled on the way down, and I think this is almost, well, it's bang on. I don't trade moving averages, but it's bang on your 200 moving average on the 1 hour as well. Not that I really look at that, but this is the range I'm expecting to hold it at the moment, and I'm not expecting any fireworks at the moment. What I'm looking at in terms of pairs against the US dollar. Let's have a look at the euro against the US dollar. Bias still to the upside of this little one. That's the 4-hour chart. So from the swing low to the swing low here back from 1080 area up to the high of 1260. 50% pullback of here is exactly where we are at the moment. And if you look at the 50% pullback, it comes exactly in line with the previous swing high from the middle of May, from the 18th of May. So this is a definite area of support now in the euro dollar. So looking to get long. I'm not trading necessarily this today. We'll see if anything shows its hand. But at the moment, this certainly for me is still playing this to the long side. Now the only real numbers out this week that I think are of major concern, of course, are the US non-farm payroll at the end of the week. Jahi speaking later today at 2 p.m, which is 6 hours from now. If you're in Asia, chances are you'll be sleeping by then. But and if you're in the States, then chances are you're not going to be in front of your screens too much. But so Jahi speaking in about 6 hours' time. I don't think there's many fireworks coming out of that. Euro dollar still playing this to the upside if you're so inclined to trade the common currency, the most actively traded currency that's out there. We just increase the size of the 1 hour. If you want to play in here, there's some people calling out for trade ideas all the time. Well, I'm not trading this, but the trade idea would be obviously to buy here, and you can easily have a 380R stop. Takes you, gives you about a 30 pip stop for continuation to the upside. But I really think, if you're trading this today, you're almost just trying to force something that's going to happen that maybe is just going to sort of like get into some sideline movement today. So I'm not getting too excited about that. One thing we are looking at and continue to look at is the let's have a look at pound dollar. Let's have a look at pound dollar. Now you see we didn't break this area of resistance that I've had penciled in. So this to me, it's had a chance to pull back down to make a retracement down to these lower levels last Friday, and it failed to do it. We could have been back down at the 126 handle, certainly pushing there with the election opinion polls looking more favourable to the Labour Party, which is a narrowing of the opinion polls. Opinion polls over the weekend really put, they've still put the Conservative Party, the existing incumbent government, strongly in the lead, but of course a lesser lead. But the opinion poll from last week, they sort of like shocked everyone about this day last week when the manifesto was announced. They dropped from 20% to 10%, and now obviously later in the week they had a 6%. Back up there around the sort of 6 to 10% area of the opinion polls over the weekend, which makes the pound sort of becoming a little bit more favourable. Now, the pound didn't break down this lower level of 127.50. So I think buying cable at these levels as the opinion polls and as the election draws in, has a better upside potential than downside. Now, of course, over the election itself, whether you want to be trading this over the election is entirely up to you. I don't know if I'll be trading it. I think there's other things you can be gambling on. It's very unlikely that at this stage that the Labour will get in, but if they did get in, this could be back down at 122, 120, well, even lower, 120. I mean, this has got a massive move to the downside, which is obviously the reason why we're not up here at the moment, because of the downside potential. But prior to the election, which is still a week or so away, we've got we've got some momentum coming back in behind the pound. So risk reward, stops below this level. This is where you'll naturally be placing your stops. So below this swing low, this is obviously where a lot of the marks will be. You've got this big momentum candle to make up. This was the I think this was the announcement of the election, and we could find ourselves back up to this level, back up to the 129.30 level. Okay, so you've got 100 points to the upside. With 50 pips stop, you've got a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio buying here at the moment. So as long as we can break up through the the 28.50. If we can break through 28.50 now, which is this sort of like minor support level, minor resistance level to the upside, then I think we're going to be looking to test the back up to the 129.30 area, 129.50 area. So risk reward buying cable, is the bias for me. But again, both these economies are closed today, so not expecting too much. Maybe a trickle higher, grinding higher, but not expecting any fireworks in there at the moment today. Morning, Orphan. Let's have a look at one thing I wanted to show you. Actually, this is not a lesson in Fibonacci, but it's quite. I don't. I'm not a big Fibonacci trader. I look at the 50%, which is not technically a Fibonacci. But just look here. I mean, one level I do like in Fibonacci is the 1618 extension level. Okay. So I'm looking at. Let's just get up the tool here. If you take the swing high here back from the 5th of May, okay, this is the big high on at I'm changing these platforms at the 110 area, 110.20. This is the high from the 8th of May up to this swing high here. The 1618 extension level takes you almost exactly to the pip of where we found our top in this. So if you take this to there, I mean, it's almost exactly to the pip. If you're looking for targets. Okay, so you see in here we broke through the previous high, formed a new high. This is the 4 hour, so it took us like 2 days to come back down before we retested that high and broke through. Came back to this new high, forming the new support level, and then took off again. Where did it roll back over? Exactly, and it was to the pip, the 1618 extension. So this is a very powerful little fib level that I really do like using in terms of in terms of targets. It turned at 1263, which is, as I say, you couldn't have got a cigarette paper between those two, and that's basically where we've rolled over. We've rolled over 100 points from there now. So just want to sort of like cast your mind. If you've got nothing else to do, just put some fib levels on and look for 1618 extensions, because they're just very, very respected at all times. Crab pattern uses crab pattern. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Potter. I'm not quite sure what you actually mean, but yeah, crab uses that as well. Yeah. Well, I like to use it. It does kick rectums. Yeah. 1618. I'm pleased we agreed, Potter, but we agree on quite a few things anyway, so that's okay. Let's have a look at pound yen, shall we? Pound yen is the people's favourite at the moment. So, pound yen continues to grind lower. Okay, this is our consolidation resistance area to the upside. The bottom of this resistance area we've comes in at 143 sort of 50 60 area. In fact, the low here is 143.40. So 143.40 to 143.60 area really is the sell zone. I think you should be looking at. We should really widen that out actually for the sell zone. Let's just make that clearer for everyone, for me anyway. So this really is your sell zone in here now. If we get back up there, then that's your bias to the downside. Yen's still looking like a stronger currency. We've had some missile attack launches over the weekend again. Every time they launch a missile test, the yen puts on a bid, which is a sort of a flight to risk off, of course, but, safe haven currency. So at the moment, when I see, you've heard my comments about the pound in terms of fundamentals, elections, and what have you. But you've got to trade technically, if you trade technically, and you look at these fanned out moving averages. I don't buy into this. I don't buy these fanned out. I don't buy a pair that's got this type of fanned out moving average against me and I'm below it. This to me has got still bias to the downside. That's the 4 hour. The 1 hour, we're just coming into the middle of the band. Up here, the sell zone, still puts the bias to the downside. So for me, oops, beg your pardon, back to the main screen. We've still got this as a buy as a sell zone. So I'm playing this from the short side this week. I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to get too involved today trading. Every time we send a missile, every time they launch a missile, we send them £1 million of grain. So playing this still to the downside. Okay, so where's your target? We were talking earlier. Your first target is certainly at 141. It's the high of the election candle here. 141.90. And then, of course, down to the 140 level, which is basically the low of the aftermath after the election, 140. So these are your two targets, really, as we spoke about in the room. Whether you take, whether you go for the longer term, I think you've got the election playing in here. But that is the target, and stops. Well, you've got this previous sell zone at 144.30, gives you a 70 pip stop. 70 pip stop for a test of 140 is a good risk reward ratio with the bias certainly 250, 300 points there with a 70 pip stop. Good 3 to 1. Get 3 to 1 out of that certainly, even if you take down to Even if you take down to the first target of 141.80, still gives you always a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio on that one. I think bias works. But as with, there's the election risk in here, election positioning as well. If anything, I think the risk is going to play more into it, to the downside. I mean, markets, they can price in risk, they can't price in uncertainty. At the moment, there's uncertainty in terms of the results. So, what's this, Potter? This is is that 1618? I'll look at that later. That's why it works. Clearly, that's why it works. It's got to be why it works. Right, what's my trade on at the moment? The trade I have on at the moment from last week, I checked it earlier this morning about 6 o'clock, not doing very much, but it's still a currency pair that I would be inclined to continue with, and it is this little thing in here. It's the orange Australian. Okay, this is the strength meter on the what? Let me just put out the strength meter for you. Australian, it's the second weakest currency on the 4 hour, second weakest currency on the daily, and the weakest on the 1 hour as well. So it mostly means I'm making some money on that. I'll have a look now. I'm not. I'm looking for opportunities against getting into selling Aussie against anything that's particularly strong against it. Euros, Aussie yen. Aussie yen is my trade at the moment. Let's have a look at Aussie yen. Okay, yeah, just making some pips on that now. So I'm still short this from last week. Still happy to stay short this. If I wasn't short, I would get short. My target here from the trade idea, if you're in it from last week, some of you are, I know. Some of you that rely on trade ideas for the site, which is fine, but it's not only about trade ideas and the site, it's also about education. We want people to, we've got quite a few new people in the room, which is why I'm talking in this way, but the room is designed not just for trade ideas, it's for learning, speaking one-on-ones to the likes of Tony and Jason and myself, professional traders. Hopefully you can learn from us as well in terms of our line of thinking. Throw out some psychology as well sometimes, and some money management education. So it's all about education as well as just trade ideas. But the trade idea still is good. So I like Aussie yen, selling this to the downside. Aussie weak currency, yen a stronger currency. We'll let this one plan out. This is the 1 hour. If you look at the 4 hour, still biased to the downside. It's better than the 1-to-1 risk reward. I've taken profits. I will be taking profits at, he says confidently, at 81.90 with an 83.40 stop loss. So I'm basically where we are at entry now. And if you weren't in the trade, there's no. I've still got confidence behind this trade, so the trade idea is still valid for me. If you're looking for, well, in fact, this is today's move. Today's move gives you the 50%. Oddly enough, 50% of today's range takes you back into exactly my entry level, which is the 82.80. 82.80 my entry. And that's 50% of the day's move. So if you break here, target comes back in. I mean, you might even shoot for lower on the target, but it is right there at the moment. You might get another 20-30 pips on it to the downside if you break this candle. But this is quite a powerful candle to the upside on the daily, so I'm quite happy to take profits on them just before that and reassess it then. Aussie yen. Also, Aussie, let's look at Aussie New Zealand. I still like Aussie New Zealand. New Zealand's very strong currency at the moment. If you look at the basket again, New Zealand is just up there on the hourly. It's second in 4 hour, up with the yen, and of course on the daily it's up there as well, third. So New Zealand, strong currency at the moment. No point fighting that trend. You've got to go with what's strong and trade pairs against it that are weak. So obviously New Zealand, great little pair to be trading at the moment. It's little trend followers, paradise, pull down, pull back into previous support, now resistance, continues on down, meandering down, and same here again today. Now just broken the session lows, didn't have the follow through. So possibly come back now to test the 50% range of today. So we've had a 56 point range, which is 28 pips, which takes you in at 105.42. So 105.40 is an area to sell this for continuation to the downside. In around there. I think that's my trade idea for the day, guys. I'm just going to go up there in a few minutes' time once I finish the stream. We're going to do an Aussie New Zealand short. I'll take a trade on that when I do some position sizing analysis on it. Oops. I mean, the target's going to be down here, basically. 104. Around the 104 handle. I'm going to look for a better target in a moment, but it's going to be down this around this level. With a, I don't know, stop. 70 pip stop, 60 pip stop, 120 or 2 to 1 pulls you in at this one here, this candle here above this hammer candle, 2 to 1. Yeah. So Aussie New Zealand is a trade. I mean, I'm short Aussie as well, so my position size on this one will be, I'm short Aussie against the yen, as you know, so my position size on this one will bear that into mind, but risking 0.25% on this I still don't think is a bad trade idea for the week. So looking at possibly doing that. Another way of shorting Aussie, looks like I've got it in for the Australians today. Not the Australians per se, but certainly the currency. Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD is another one you could play. This is the 1 hour. Nice little trendy market here. We're back into the. So this is coming into parity again. So this is last Friday. Traded up to the highs of 26, failed to get close to the high from Friday and the high from Thursday, so descending highs. 50% pullback is where we are now, so 50% pullback from Friday's low, or from the opening, from the opening Asia last night, and we are there now. So taking Aussie CAD short also works, and this mostly works just as well as the Aussie New Zealand. New Zealand is a stronger currency, so I'm going with that one. But this is how's the strength on the CAD? Dave. So this is so we've broken this low. I mean, this is a nice one. This is a nice trade here. Testing these lows, 80 pips down to the previous low back from April. 40 pip stop, 2 to 1. CAD is the strongest on the daily. Okay, but it's dipped down in the last since OPEC. It is the third strongest on the 4 hour, and the hour, which we don't really look at too much, is the flat in the middle of the line, middle of the road. So Aussie's weaker. Played against yen, New Zealand, possibly CAD. Not inclined to play it against pound at the moment, or the Euro Oz. I mean, Euro Oz, that's the 4 hour. I mean, you can see just a remarked difference between looking at this chart, the Euro against the Oz on the 1 hour, and the Aussie against the CAD on the 1 hour. It's just two different charts. I mean, one's happily grinding lower, the other's just flatlining. So we've got to trade it against a pair like the CAD or the New Zealand. Aussie, New Zealand again, the 1 hour. It's just grinding lower, and this is the pair you want to be trading, as opposed to. So you compare this Aussie New Zealand to the Euro Oz. Just there's both 1 hour charts. It makes total sense to me on that. Like I think I said, go careful leading into next week's selling. Right, folks, as I say, a very quiet day. I'll be sitting at the screens doing some other admin stuff, not actually getting too involved. I might take I will take the Aussie New Zealand trade in a moment. Put the trade idea out, but it's going to be a small trade for me because I've got Aussie exposure, and if I'm wrong on the Aussie, I don't want to get I don't want to start the week off on a bad negative footing. But I'm okay with that in terms of managing the risk. Bit of pound consolidation over the weekend because of now opinion polls more in favour of the Conservatives, so pound's got a little bit of a bid. Might play pound against the US dollar. US dollar's flatlining. Non-farm payroll at the end of the week. Kudos to you for coming in on a bank holiday. Everyone that's trying to trade today. I know it's not bank holiday in the in Europe or Asia Pacific, Australia. So that means nothing to you guys, but it just means a very thin liquidity across the board. Bloomberg playing the John Williams interview again. Right, let's have a quick look, see if we've got any trader ideas. Not really. Just one from Yo-Yo and Trader. Potter, I haven't seen a trade idea from you on here for quite a while, have we? Let's get a trade idea up. When you take your next trade, not for the sake of it, of course. Aussie New Zealand long. Oh dear, that's That's come straight into the back of my trade idea to the opposite, but that's fine. RSI, let's have a look at the thought process behind this then. RSI is oversold and coming from under the 25 stochastics. What time frame is this? Okay, on the 4 hour. Should take it back to resistance highs of 105.95 and possibly 106.60. Trade offers a very nice risk reward ratio. I may move my stop down to 104.83 and I'll actively manage the trade of the risk reward until the acceptable. Setting a stop at 105 even for set and forget. Okay, well that's that's what makes a market, I guess. It's different to me. I don't like to try and pick these bottoms, but it doesn't make it wrong at all. I don't have the I don't have the authority on trade ideas. I can assure you of that. Long dollar CAD. Okay. Long dollar CAD, buy there, long dollar CAD. I think this is, I think these arrows are CCI crossovers by the looks of things. Yep, on a chart, taking away all the other technicals, dollars, it's moved up, putting back down into trendline support, into this previous structure, support, possibly hold it to the next move to the upside. Yeah, who knows? No stop loss or take profit targets in there. And Kitchi 9 hours ago, shorting euro dollar. Coming into levels of support to the downside for me. So I think this is, I want to see it trading down here in this range before I start to consider selling this. So I think you have to play that to the upside. Both of these are in trend, up movement, up momentum in terms of, not momentum, but up bias in terms of rate policy, which is who moves quicker and faster and sooner. Drahi speaking, as I say, in 5.5 hours time. So be mindful of that. We will speak to you later. I'll be in. I'll pop on at 1 o'clock, which will be, I think, even quieter than it is now. Yeah, pop in and see what's going on, which is 4 hours from now for sort of like a lunchtime update. I could just pre-record the the 4 hour session now, in fact, because I don't think much is going to happen between now and then, but we will see. Don't trade for the sake of it, unless you're taking long-term position trades. Don't try and necessarily scalp out of this market at the moment. You could be, unless you've got some clear objectives and rules that tell you to. I think it's going to be quite tight. Speak to you later, guys. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Potter. Thanks, Techno, and the others. Buy euro with a massive stop. I'll leave you with that one.